based on current emotions that will cause you to do something illogical. Come on in, guys. Emotions defy logic. Emotions will drive you to make choices that are illogical. Because an emotional decision has nothing to do with your brain. Why'd you stab him? He made me mad. Well, don't you know that that's illegal? I wasn't thinking. Why'd you run up on the curb? I don't know. I just saw the fire hydrant and I wanted to hit it. Why'd you want to hit a fire hydrant? I don't know. I wasn't thinking. It's a dangerous space to be in where your brain isn't controlling your actions. It's a dangerous position to be in that your heart would supersede your intellect and your education and your experience. And your heart says, the heart wants
what the heart wants.
What the heart wants. Billy's bad, but I want Billy. I know he's bad. I know his reputation. I know what Billy's done. I've seen it with my own eyes. But there's something about Billy that just... Somebody say amen.
Amen.
All things work together? Really? Here's the thing. The Bible says all things work together for. What's half of 4? 2. All the things that happen to you didn't happen to you. Because 2 is half of 4. And you're not living half a life, you're living a complete life. Everything, if you stop for a moment and you consider this new math, it's really old math, but it's math that we haven't been taught in schools. Everything that happened to you really happened for you. What? The stuff that happened to you that you're responding with anger, you're responding with remorse, or you're responding with regret, or you're responding with anger. You're just unhappy and depressed because it happened to you. What if it didn't happen to you? What if it happened for you? Well, that's preposterous. That's silly. How could that happen for me? Well, what does 8 and 28 say again, Romans? Romans 8. What does it say?
And we know that all things.
We know. Let me skip past what you just said. But all things
work.
How many things work?
All.
That means up to and including the things happen to you. All things are all things, right?
Yes.
And if all things didn't happen to, but they happen, read.
Work together for good.
Wait. They work together for, not to. To good means something one day will be good about it.
Right.
But for good means that it started out with a purpose. Things happen to you for a reason.
Right.
And that reason is for you. I understand what you might think. I understand what you might feel. I understand how that falls on your ears. I understand how that falls on your heart. It just doesn't resonate. Doesn't make sense, does it? Does it? This is the reason why we must have faith. It's not the substance that's the amalgamation of the things that you see. Faith has nothing to do with what you understand or what's clear to you. Faith has to do with that exists, and there's a lot that exists beyond your field of vision. But faith has everything to do with what goes beyond your comprehension or your ability to understand. I can't understand that, but I have faith that stabilizes me. I don't understand why hailstone is falling like it is in this in everybody's car. But I know there must be a reason, because there's a reason for everything, whether I understand it or not. I don't understand why things happened to me when I was 8. They probably should happen to any 8-year-old. And I will probably not ever understand how that could have been for me. But I do have faith. And faith speaks to me and tells me that everything that happened in my life happened for me. Whether I understand it or not, whether it's explainable or not, when God says it happened for me, I've got to believe that it happened for me. So all of the depression, all of the natural response that went along with that event, I've got to put a division between how I react to that event and how I respond to that event because of my faith. It happening to me had nothing to do with my faith, but me responding to it has everything to do with my faith. Faith is how I respond to life. Life is going to happen. Things are going to happen. Good things, bad things. But if I put all of those things together, all of those things are designed for my education. All of those things put together, I don't like it. I didn't enjoy it. I think it shouldn't have happened. But if I can respond in faith, how will I do that? I've got to believe God and what He said. Because Romans 8 starts off how, Matt?
Said Romans 8:28.
Yes, sir.
And we know.
You gotta know. You got to know God to know how to respond to life. You gotta know that God is. You gotta know that God is a rewarder of them that diligent. And you may not have the reward, but you're going to get reward because of what happened to you, because you believe God that that was a bad thing, but it happened for my good. You got to be willing to sound crazy. You got to be willing to act crazy. You got to be willing to do something out of the human capacity. How can I forgive somebody that would do it to an 8-year-old? Whatever it was. Well, there's got to be something more in you than just you. To display something that you know that doesn't come from you, and that's mercy. How can you show mercy to someone that you know and they know they deserve to be? They deserve to be hurt. They deserve to be killed. They deserve what they got coming to them. But how can you forgive and have mercy unless there's something other in you than humanity? There's something other on your brain than cause and effect. Jesus came preaching something that for the first time people understood that they needed to be transformed in order to connect with what He was saying. Because He said, you have heard that it hath been said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. That's just fair. Right? Huh? If you do X, Y, Z, then X, Y, Z is coming to you. Some cultures and some language, some people would call that karma. Huh? Some people might call that Murphy's context, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, karma, whatever you did is coming back to you. I'm rubber and you're glue.
Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap.
You may deserve it. You may have it coming to you. But if you believe God and have faith in God, then there's a higher context that you can operate in, despite of the lower context with which you received your experience. Did it happen? Yes. Did it happen to you? Yes. But if you believe that it happened for you, you must be crazy. Or you must believe God. Here's where choice comes. Because choice isn't a matter of mathematical equations. Choice is not a matter of figuring out. Choice is a matter of preference. Which are you going to do? I mean, you can just be angry because of what happened to you, or you can be full of joy because of what happened for you. So would you rather be angry or be full of joy? It's really your choice. Because God is going to give you anything than what He already given you. He's already given you His word. Do you believe His word? Do you?
Amen.
Do you? Do you? Well, I heard it, but can you explain it to me? No, I can't. Some things that God says cannot be explained because the natural brain, listen, some things the Bible says have to be spiritually discerned. You will never figure God out. You won't. I don't care how long you study the Bible, how long you study God, how long you study the religions of the world. His ways are past finding out. And your exercise is in futility. The longer you stay in the library, the crazier you're going to get. Some things you just have to accept. Okay, He's God. He's God. And my faith has to grow to the point where I just believe Him. You believe some foolishness like that? Like all things? Yeah, I believe it. If you can believe that, you can live. If you believe that, you can have life. If you can believe that, you can have life more abundantly. But if you have challenges with that, if you're critical of that, you're going to be challenged in everything that happens to you from here on out. I got news for you. Touch your neighbor and say, neighbor.
Neighbor.
Stuff will not stop
Stuff will not stop
happening to you.
happening to you. Kimberly, I'm talking to you.
They're going to continue.
My camera's on.
Stuff is going to continue happening. It's not going to stop. Well, I'm saved now. Things aren't going to change. You're going to change, but things won't. I'm trying to make it easy on you. I'm trying to put a cushion between you and the events that are going on right now and those that will continue to go on. I want to get some practical application of biblical truth here, but I'm afraid of how it might affect some folks sitting here. I might lose some folk. I don't want to lose you. I'll tell you this. I shared this with the group yesterday. Let's sit down. I got an alert Tuesday afternoon. It was a copy of an article in the Blackburn News, which is the local newspaper in Sarnia. The Blackburn News released a notice, an alert about a missing 17-year-old girl that hadn't been seen for 24 hours. They were putting out this alert because she just turned up missing out of the blue, and they had a picture. And I looked at the picture, and because of the tilt of the head, because of just the lighting and everything, I didn't recognize the picture right away. But the article said that her name, that she was 17 years old, and her name was Autumn George. No?
Bosno. Didn't it say Bosno?
What was the last name?
Bosno.
Bosno? Okay. I got the wrong name, but last name wrong. And I'm looking, and the picture looks familiar, but I'm not connecting with it. So I called Kimberly, and I said, Kimberly, is this the Autumn that I know? And she said, yes. Now, this particular Autumn had been to the group before. She had a troubled childhood. She ran away. She was gone for months, maybe a year. This has been like a year ago. But it seemed as if that she had matured and gotten away from some things, and there were some factors involved that was affecting her life, and those factors seemed to be changed or changing. She seemed to have grown up a bit and matured a bit, and she had come back home, prodigal, where she had come back home, and she had visited our group again, and everybody was happy that she was back home. Now, this article says that she's gone again. When I understood who it was, and I remember praying for this little girl before, it struck me personally. Because empathetically, I connected with her family. Because I know her family. Empathetically, there's some things that you don't wish on your enemies. Right? And the loss of a child is not wish something. I've experienced that. I don't wish that experience on anybody. So because of the depth of the experience that have impacted my life, I know what it's like to lose a child. I began to pray as a result of this article passionately. And maybe more passionately than normal, because not everybody's lost a child. I know I'm all too familiar with that sentiment. And I don't wish it on anybody. So I began to pray about this article, and I said, God, you've brought her back before. I need you to do it again. Because I don't wish this on anybody. I don't want this girl turning up dead. I don't want this girl. And I'm telling God, I'm talking to God personally like it was my child. It's not my child, but I'm talking to God as if it were. That was on a Tuesday. Yesterday was Saturday. I drove up to the place where we have our study and our group, and I backed into my parking space, and I was backing in, and there was another car that was pulling in. And it was the grandmother of the girl in question. And as they were getting out of their car, I was getting out of my car, and I saw 3 people get out of their car. And the third person looked like the missing girl. And as I got closer, she saw me and I saw her, and I realized that it was the missing girl. And in the middle of the street, I couldn't take another step. It wasn't like life left my body, but I was so glad. I was so thankful. I was so appreciative that God answered my prayer. There was the answer to my prayer right in front of my eyes. I prayed that this girl would turn up. I prayed this girl would not be lost. I prayed that she would be found. And right in front of my eyes was the answer to my prayer. And it was all I could do to control the uncontrollable urge just to blubber. I wasn't sad, but I was so happy I lost it in the middle of the street. And I hugged the girl like she was my kid. I hugged the girl as if she were lost to me and found to me. And I was so thankful to God for being close enough to me to hear my prayer. Because I had the tangible result in front of me. Nobody told me that she was all right. I saw that she was all right. Nobody told me that she was back. I saw that she was back. And the Lord allowed me to see that in the land of the living. My eyes could see the beauty of the Lord. And in that moment, I felt so small. Because I was so overwhelmingly grateful. I was so small at what God had done. Because I knew what God had done. And I know I'm not... Listen, God answers my prayer. Don't get me wrong. He answers my prayer. But doesn't make me somebody. Whenever God answers my prayer, I feel like I'm so overwhelmed by His goodness and His faithfulness. It makes me want to be more faithful. Not that I'm unfaithful, but it makes me want to figure out what more can I do for somebody that's this great. because I don't feel like I'm doing enough. Who wouldn't serve so wonderful and so mighty and gracious a God that would bring a 17-year-old back from her own whatever was going on? So that now, I meant it when I said it yesterday, Matt. When I say now today that God is able, there's a shift in my understanding of what God is able to do. Although I know by faith what He's able to do, when He does it, and you see that He did it, it brings you to a different level of understanding and comprehension of what His goodness looks like or could be. And I'm thankful to the Lord. And I share that by way of testimony and preaching. That when you believe God, it's not like your next belief of God. Let your last belief of God catapult you to the next belief. Let it be the foundation of the next thing that hasn't happened yet that forces you to believe God. And let that be easy because you believed God the last time. So much so that you know whatever life brings, because life's going to bring some stuff. There's going to be a whole lot of it's in the past and in the future. But whatever it is that came or whatever it is that's going to come, God is able. He's able to deliver you. He's able to turn that thing around. He's able to flip the script. He's able to turn the tables. God is able. That no matter what it looks like, it's not going to affect you like it affects everybody else. Whatever it is isn't going to affect you. It's going to happen to you. But if it's happening for you, it's going to affect you differently. If you realize that whatever could happen, that all of it is for your good, then whatever it is isn't going to depress you. Whatever it is isn't going to pull you down. Whatever it is going to hold you up. And I mean whatever. I mean whatever. The old folks used to say, what the devil meant for bad is for your good. Well, some bad stuff happened. And I don't completely connect, and I can't explain to you how the bad stuff that happened in my life was for my good. But let me tell you, by faith, I don't care whether I can explain to you or not. I just believe. Help me say I believe.
I believe.
You've got to believe that it's for your good. That way that bad thing won't impact you, and it won't weigh on you, and won't change the trajectory of your life. Psychologists say, I know because I studied to be one. Psychologists say that there was an event in your life that pushed you over the edge, that caused you to go in the direction that you're going right now. They always look for some singular event or series of events that broke the camel's back. Something had to have happened that caused a good person to go bad. Here's what I'm saying. God has a way to transcend everything that has happened to you in your life and to repurpose the negativity to cause you to go up and not down. And the thing that should have killed you, the thing that killed other people, killed their spirit, killed their hope, killed their future. The thing that should have caused you to take Ambien for the rest of your life, Xanax for the rest of your life, the thing that should have put you in a place to be medicated, put you in a place where you have communion with the Most High. And you don't need any drugs. Because he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. And you don't go around talking about what happened to you. You talk about a God that's for you. And if God is for you, who can be against you? What could have happened that could distract that relationship and that closeness and that intimacy? I know some folks that some stuff happened to, and because it happened, they feel like they're bad. Well, I'm bad. I can't get close to God because I'm a bad person. God doesn't care what happened to you. God doesn't care what happened to you. He cares about what happened for you. How can you be a friend to the friendless if you didn't lose your friends? How can you be a mother to the motherless if you haven't lost your mother? Losing your mother, believe me, I lost my mother. That's a bad thing. You can't recover from that. But God is able to step in and put you in a place where you are mentally stable. I should have lost my mind, but I didn't. There's a lot of stuff that happened to me that nearly caused me to lose my mental faculty. I nearby went crazy, but I didn't. And I'm not crazy today, not because of what happened to me, but what happened for me. And it's a Nike commercial that says, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That's a Nike commercial. God, who is present in your life, turns the tables on all of the negative events so they don't affect you. They happened, but they don't affect you. And without the negative effect of the things in the past, that gives you a future that is only positive. Because God is just that good. He's so good that when He's present, there's nothing that can befall you. That's what the Word says. And I've experienced that enough. I've seen God move enough where bad things are supposed to happen. It's a domino effect. But God can interrupt even the dominoes that are falling and cause them to stand up aright. And things might be falling generationally. It happened to your great-grandfather, it happened to your grandfather, it happened to your grandmother. Things just, and in your life seems to be going the same way that your other relatives are gone. Listen, God can straighten that out. God can turn that around. But you got to give Him space, just like your DNA. You got to give Him space, just like your family. You got to let God into your family tree so that He becomes your father. You might have cousins that are murderers. You might have brothers and sisters that are gang members. You might have family and friends that are drug addicts. When God becomes a part of your family tree, then that branch changes. It changes for good. It changes for life. For your life. And the life of your children. And your children's children. And as many as may be afar off in you and through you. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous run in, not because they're scared, but they know what happens when they get to the house. They're going to be protected. They're going to be saved. They're going to be that the elements of the danger is going to turn around. Realize the value of that connection. You're not just God's because you're saved and you believe in Him in the pardon of your sins. That's a small part of who you are. But being His children means the outcome of our life, the rest of our life, the kingdom walk that we walk now while we yet live. We live and we move and we exist in Him. Stuff happens to us, but stuff that happens to us, we could say, because that's all we could say historically was what happened to us. But now we can talk about what's happening for us. Huh? Well, preacher, let me just tell you this. I got more month than I got money. That's happening for you. That's changeable. That's not perpetual. That's not something that's going to be ongoing. But God, for your good, wants you to know what it's like to live by faith. Because otherwise you live by the balance of your bank account. And if you don't have no more money in your bank account, you got to live off something else. Y'all won't talk back to me. If there's no money in your bank and your family's hungry, you need to rely on something else other than yourself, something else other than your job, something else that is very present and helpful in the time of trouble. Experience that. Experience it. Don't get mad that you don't have any money. Be mad if you didn't have a God. Because I got news for you. As long as you have a God, you needn't rely on money.
Amen.
As long as you have a God, you needn't rely on anything other than Him. Because all things, and He will prove this to you, unfortunately. It's a difficult education, but He will prove to you that you don't need anybody else in your life. Not a dentist. I've seen people get fillings in a church service, not in a doctor's office. I've seen it with my own eyes. People have a toothache and they got a hole in their tooth. They drink water and it hurts. I've seen holes in their teeth get filled in a service. Okay, maybe I don't need a dentist. Maybe I need a surgeon. I've seen tumors be reduced in a service. I've seen deaf ears be unstopped in a service. And I'm not trying to be religious to say Jesus is all I need. I don't need nobody else. I'm saying you will come to the place in your Christian education. I don't want you to believe it because I said it and I'm a reliable authority. I want you to believe it because you're going to know that He will be a doctor in the sick room. He will be a lawyer in the courtroom for you. You will have these experiences. Or you will believe them from testimonies that are so clear and accurate, you believe it because somebody close to you said it. You will come to know that all things work together for your good. And you believe that. You won't just quote it. You will passionately, intellectually, with all your heart, mind, body, and soul, believe what Romans 8:28. You will just believe it. Not because it sounds good. You believe it because you know it works. Not because you put it to the test, but the test came to you. And God proved Himself something other than what you thought He was. Now you know He's God. But God always proves to me stuff that He does that I'm like, okay, God, I knew you could do it, but wow. Wow. Not like I didn't know you could or didn't believe that you could, but when He does it, it never ceases to blow my mind. Matthew chapter 5. I want to finish with this. What Jesus said was not only unorthodox, but the kinds of things that Jesus would say would make people think that He came from another planet. Matthew chapter number 5 was one of His opening messages. And people had a difficult time believing Him except for the miracles. Had He not done miracles, it would have been difficult to follow Him based on His word alone. You need to know the kinds of things that Jesus would say to make people go, you're right. He said stuff like Matthew 5:3. He opened His mouth and He taught them. He taught them what they didn't know. How could they possibly know what He was about to teach them? What He was teaching them was heavenly wisdom and knowledge. Spiritual wisdom and knowledge. It doesn't come from the earth. You can't read Socrates and philosophy and have this knowledge here. You can't get it from anywhere other than the throne. He said, blessed are, and forgive me for saying blessed. My pastor, when I was a little boy, took a lot of time one Wednesday night, and he wrote some words on the board. And we pronounce them all. C-R-E-S-T is crest. And he had a whole list of words. And B-L-E-S-S-E-D. We said blessed. He says that's blessed. He said blessed is somebody says, when they're trying to sound like something that they heard. But the word is blessed. What does it mean to be blessed? It's the past tense of the word blessed. B-L-E-S-S, blessed. It's not blessed, it's blessed. Past tense. So that means the past tense of the word blessed means what?
Blessed already.
Is the blessing coming?
No, it already happened.
It already occurred. It's not something that we're waiting on.
Right.
It's the past tense of the word blessed. So if it's already happened, Jesus taught blessed, it already happened. You are already, but you don't have to wait to be blessed. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Now how folk walking around with their head hung down and they sad and their countenance is down and they're depressed, how those folks, they look like they need to be blessed. In my eyes, in our eyes, the way society looks at folks is walking around like sad sack. You don't know what sad sack is. Let me. If you walk around looking pitiful, Jesus said you're already
Blessed.
blessed. How is that? Because what looks blessed or what is blessed to God isn't what is blessed to us. See, we see somebody in a Hugo Boss suit, a Rolex watch, rings on their fingers, and the fine car, the fine home. We call that blessed.
Right.
That isn't what God calls blessed. God does not associate blessings with wealth. That's a human thing to do. That's a human way and perspective of looking at things. Jesus said and taught, because he had to teach this because we didn't know, that what is blessed, past tense, is those that are poor in spirit. Why? Because theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Now explain that. How does that look? The kingdom of heaven already belongs to people that walk around pitiful? Jesus said yes. How you see that, Jesus? Because I'm the one that blessed them. I'm not going to bless them, I already did. Well, I can't see that. That's because you're looking at it with the wrong eyes. Faith has nothing to do with what you see. If you walk by faith, you'll understand what's being written. If you walk by sight, you won't understand this. And you have to begin to approach Jesus like you can't just look at him with worldly knowledge and expect him to make sense to you. He came out, the first lesson that he taught was beyond comprehension. What you mean? The poor in spirit are already blessed. They need to get somewhere. Folks that got stuff, that's blessed. No, not at all. Not the way that Jesus teaches it. No, you might go to a church where they teach different things, but that's not the way that Jesus taught it. Look at the word. Look at it. What does it say? Blessed are the poor in spirit. I need to turn this thing around. I need to augment the way I'm looking at what it means to be blessed. You know why? Because you might be already blessed and don't even know it. You might be blessed already, looking for a blessing, not appreciating the blessing that you already received. What God calls blessing, if you're not calling it a blessing, then there's a problem of appreciation. You won't ever thank God for something you think you don't got. What do you call it if you give your children gifts and they act like they don't have nothing? Spoiled little. I want the new Jordans. You know how many people don't have the old Jordans?
You're right.
Pay $200 for them old Jordans. Come on. You want the new ones that just came out. No offense, Chris. My son loves some shoes. He loves some gym shoes. He has more shoes than I do. I got shoes older than him. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn. How's that? They must be mourning for a reason. Well, how is it that they are already blessed because they're mourning? So it sounds like to me they have some negative stuff happening to them. That's the reason why they're mourning. People that mourn are going, ooh, they're crying and they're sad. You know, usually mourners are at a funeral. Somebody died. That's usually the reason why somebody gets so low that they cry a certain kind of way that we call it mourning. By definition, mourning is something that happens to something so bad, like a person, a close relative dying. That's where we find mourners. Jesus said they're blessed, B-L-E-S-S-E-D, already blessed. How can somebody dying that's close to you make you blessed? How is that? What kind of stuff you been smoking? How do you figure that grandma passing away is a blessing? Well, that's why I'm teaching you something that you wouldn't grasp. The concept you wouldn't gain. Because your humanity doesn't connect with this. Let me grow and mature your spirituality and understand, just because it's down, just because something happened to you, doesn't mean it's not happening for you. Doesn't mean that's not opening up doors for you. Grandma dying is an opportunity for you to gain spirituality, because before you were relying on her. Now because of the blessing that she was to you, now you have to carry that out. She planted the seed, now you have to bear the fruit. And it's not the seed that feeds people, it's the fruit that feeds people. So you're the blessing now. Because of grandma's seed, it was planted in you, you now have the benefit of what grandma gave to you, and now you can feed others because of the seed that was planted in you. That's the blessing. So while you sit down crying because grandma's gone, there's people around you that are hungry because of what grandma gave you. Jesus told Peter, Peter, you love me? He's like, yeah. He says, well, don't just sit around being loved by me. Go love somebody else. Go feed my sheep. Do you love me? Yeah, Lord, you know I love you. Go feed my sheep. There are people around that need what I gave you. Go feed them. Give them what I gave you. If you love me. Don't just say, oh, my grandma loved me. I loved her so much. Go feed somebody else. Go take some time, like grandma took time with you. Go put your hand, like grandma put hands on you. Go share what grandma shared with you. Be the fruit of the seed that was planted in you. Because that was your blessing. You were blessed to have that seed. And now in the past tense, that seed, it's time for that seed to bear fruit. Blessed are the meek, and he goes on and on and on and on and on and on. But to wind up this message, you were not born to be who the world makes you out to be. You were born to be the person that God purposed you to be. And if you are here, anybody here?
Amen.
If you're here, you are proof positive that God has a plan. You need to know what that plan is to be proof. If you're here, you're proof. Now, if you're proof and you're here, you need to be doing something because you're alive. Because God allowed you life. Because He gave you life. You need to let your life mean something. You need to understand that your life has value to God. The Bible says if 5 sparrows have the value of a farthing, you know what a farthing is? A farthing is a unit of money. Cameron, I'm glad that you asked. A farthing, 5 sparrows represent 2 farthings. A farthing is a quarter of a penny. A quarter of a penny. The value of a farthing is a quarter of, if 5 sparrows have 2 farthings, that means that's half a penny for 5 sparrows. Jesus goes on to say, the hairs of your head are numbered. Because you value to God more than a sparrow values to God. And a sparrow values to God. If you have value to God, be valuable. Be valuable. Every opportunity, every door, every possibility that opens up. Listen, I'm talking about value. I'm not talking about purpose. If you have value to God, be valuable.
Yeah.
Now you can take that same life and be valuable to the enemy by doing nothing. You can be valuable to the enemy by doing the wrong thing. You can choose. You got a choice to do the wrong thing. The enemy can get glory out of everything that you do, or the God that made heaven and earth, that values you, can get glory out of what you do. All you got to do is do something. Do something. Do something that's right. Do something that's pleasing. Do something that may be difficult. And maybe you got to fight with yourself because you're angry about what happened to you, but let it happen for you to motivate you to praise or give value or glory to the God of heaven. Why? Because He's worthy. I don't know. If I look at myself, I don't know my value, but God seems to value me. I don't know why, but if He values me, I'm going to take that under advisement and I'm going to do what I don't feel worthy to do. But He seems, for some reason, to have value in me because I'm here. Everybody stand.